scanner. So in this video I'll show you my first scan, discuss the problems that I've had with using the Android app and my AMD processors, and then we'll look at some of my successful scans and my final impressions. At the end of the video there will be an unboxing. Understandably, Creality didn't answer my begging emails, so I paid for this myself. Like many of us, I'm a hobbyist. I've spent many years using Fusion 360, but I've never, up until today, used a 3D scanner. I did quite a lot of homework and watched a lot of YouTube videos, as we do. I have to give a shout out to Charlie Chester. He was the one who actually made the process of 3D scanning make sense to me. I found it very useful. I recommend his videos. There's a link here. I'm firmly in the AMD camp. This is more by accident than design. At the time I built this current PC, I went for AMD, mainly because of cost. And it would have been better if I'd gone for NVIDIA. But I am where I am, and I'm not about to change it now. It's less than 2 years since I did my last upgrade, so I'm sticking with my Ryzen 5 and RX7800 XT for the foreseeable future anyway. So, this is what I ended up with. It's the Creality Otter Lite. This doesn't have a laser scanner, but it fell within my budget. Just over $1,000 this was. And about the only budget market, but $1,000 is budget in 3D scanners. A scanner that would support my AMD processors, or at least it says it does. Let's see how that goes. What I'm scanning here is a backpack sprayer that I'm going to make a part for. You can see the scanner's attached to its bridge. I think it's called a bridge. That actually has the battery for the scanner built into it, and also the Wi-Fi connection to your mobile phone. It means you can have freedom to move around. The scanner comes with a clip which goes onto the back and you can mount your phone on it, but I find that gets quite heavy over time. As you're scanning, the lights on the back of the scanner go from blue down to red, with green being the optimum. They say you should be some 12 to 20 inches away, which is about 300 to 500 millimeters away from the subject for best point generation. Now I actually did 4 scans to get this result. That's my point cloud. Those are the markers that you see on the body of the sprayer. And then I did 1. That's actually pretty good. But then I felt I'd do some others. Just got a bit more detail on the base and tried again. You first have to fuse it, and it's best to keep your resolution the same for all of your scans. Noise removal at 50%, that's Charlie's advice. And it goes away and does the fusion for you. You have to do this before you can create your mesh, which is actually the process you take to then create an STL, which you can export to a 3D printer or to some editing software. This can take quite a while, but pretty seamless. Running this part of the software on an AMD machine is no problem at all. So now they're fused. We've got everything apart from the bottom of the bar, which is there's a metal bar that runs around the bottom of the sprayer. Didn't get the bottom part of that, and that's mainly because it's shiny. I need to use some matte spray. So there it is. That's the scan, and it gives me everything I need. So having done your alignment, you then need to go to meshing. And you apply your mesh, and it goes away and does that. It takes ages to do that too. And once you've done your meshing, you can export the model. So I close the software and I'll open up Meshmixer. Meshmixer is the one that Charlie recommends, and as do many others actually. We need to import an STL. There's a lot of triangles in this, and there it is. Not presently aligned. I prefer to do that. You can do that in here, but I prefer to do that in Fusion 360. So this is the sprayer body imported into Fusion. You can sort of get the idea there, I think. This is obviously not showing any hidden geometry. This is just a body. And here is the box that I designed to sculpt onto the bottom of the model. And this is it sculpted to fit. So what you can actually do is make it fit perfectly. Should be a perfectly fitting box. This is a project which I've planned to do later on. I'll go through it fully then. But there we have it. It's my first project. The phone I'm using here is a Samsung S25 Ultra. Just show you some of the problems I've had when scanning with the Android app. So here I've been scanning for a while and I've got part of the object in, but now it's lost tracking and nothing I do will actually make it recover. And the item I'm scanning here is the lid to the spray unit. It really should be sprayed with 3D scanning spray, something to make it matte. It would actually give a better result. And in the end, I do that, but just for this purpose, I haven't done it. I'm trying to use the markers that you can see on there. So what the aim is to scan the top and then scan the bottom and join them. But you can see here that the software has gone into a loop. It does this fairly frequently and then refuses to connect to the scanner. So I've already done one side and then I try and reload the job that I've been working on. And it won't go in. Eventually that'll time out. Oh, it's gone in and this is the cloud. This is the point cloud for the markers. And you can see there the scan that I previously did. But there's big holes in it. So I want to do another scan. And it won't let me. Just does this timeout thing. Then goes in and you try and add a new scan. Thinks about it for a while and then refuses. So the only way to recover this really in the end is to restart the scanner, close down the software on the phone, restart the scanner, connect the Wi-Fi, restart the software. Doesn't always do it, but when it does, it's quite frustrating. I have had it actually completely bomb out and lose my scan that I've been working on. It just deletes the scan completely. And when it works well, but when it doesn't, it can be annoying. It's a system that I built almost 2 years ago now. At the time, it was all I could afford, and it was reasonably high end. It's a fairly good graphics card. It consists of an AMD Ryzen 5 7600X, which has 6 cores and 12 threads. I have 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. My motherboard is a ASRock B650M Pro. The graphic card is an AMD Radeon RX7800 XT, which has 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm running on Windows 11, 64-bit. And I have around about 9 terabytes of storage, mostly on SSD. So I'm just going to show the process of connecting the scanner to my AMD PC. And here I'm calibrating the scanner. You have to connect the scanner to the PC to do a calibration, and that works quite happily on the AMD. You see here it prompts you to point the scanner at the board that is included with the scanner. First off, you scan the barcode and then you follow the instructions here. And it has you move the scanner around and move it up and down. And after a while, makes your arm ache rather, you have a calibration. Keeps telling me off because I lose the position. So here I'm going to scan. This is a controller for an Oculus headset. It's just something I had lying around on the desk. So we'll start the scan. You can see here that I've started a new scan and it's in green, and that's a good sign. So having done a preview, I actually start the scan and scan around the object. It's okay, does it all right. So that's in green, which is in a good range away from the subject. But now it's gone red. That meant I lost the tracking, but it regains the tracking. But because of the nature of this particular piece, it's solid white, which means the scanner can have trouble keeping track of a surface. And you'll see in a moment, in fact, right there, I believe, it's actually lost tracking and then has superimposed an extra lump onto the model, which basically bins this scan. But I persevere with it and finish it. We'll just do something with it. As I understand it, some of the manufacturer's software has the ability to go back. You can remove a section if you make a mistake. That would be nice, but Creality Scan doesn't have that. And now it's lost it completely. It's actually going to make me end this scan. And now it stops. Right. So what I need to do is scan the other side of the object. So I'll start a new scan within the project. And now the scanner can't see the object. In fact, it's thrown an AMD error. That's actually an AMD driver error. And this you'll never recover from this. I go around in circles here a little bit and try reloading the software to make it work, but it still won't actually recognize the scanner. So the only way to restart this is to reboot the PC, which I'll do in a moment. And if you reboot the PC without disconnecting the scanner from the computer, it reconnects. Okay, so here, this is before I've rebooted it, and it's not connecting, and I got that error again. Apparently a driver has timed out. So I reboot the PC. Start Creality Scan up again. So I'm going to have to restart the scan because it didn't save it when it crashed last time. And now you can see the scanner can see the object again. So something happens with the driver. It gets a disconnect from the driver. I've actually had it, when starting the second scan, do a complete crash to desktop. It was doing that consistently for a while when I last tried to do this, but this time around it's actually not crashing completely. It's just not reconnecting the driver. Now, for some reason, the scanner can't judge the distance away from the object, and I never do get it back, annoyingly. So I have to stop this particular scan and start again. So it's not perfect. This needs work by somebody. But it's usable. I mean, the scanner's fine. I like the scanner. Works well with the Android app in spite of a few problems. It works okay. So you got to work around. I mean, from what I've seen, the experience with an NVIDIA graphics card is much better. It's not so much the AMD CPU as the AMD graphics card that's causing the problems. The Otter Lite and all of Creality scanners and most of the other brands of scanners that I've come across all use CUDA to the NVIDIA CUDA system to communicate with the scanner and the software. But anyway, that's how it goes. This is a bin scan anyway, because as I said, the first part of it is not properly aligned. So here's a few things that I've scanned. This is a Bosch vacuum cleaner. I really scanned it because I wanted the battery compartment. I can sort of reverse engineer that. That should come out reasonably well, I think. But can't resist the urge to scan the whole thing. So I did that with scanning spray. My version of scanning spray. And a Zito battery, Zito 18-volt battery. Again, part of the same project. I'm going to reverse engineer that and get the connections and then probably take it apart and get the mechanism to join it to the tool. Again, quite good. This is a 12-volt pump that I'm putting into a project. Not bad at all, I think. Has all the dimensions I need. It doesn't really need to be that accurate, but that's good. And there's that backpack sprayer we were working on before. Has all the features that I need. I need to somehow mount a box to the bottom of this thing to cover stuff in. Oh, that's a Bosch battery. That's pretty good. You can even see the recycling symbol on the bottom there. And just about make out Bosch. And this was the lid that I was working on before. Even got the thread reasonably well on the inside, but that's really just for modelling purposes, not for anything else. And that's my favourite one so far. So that's my experience so far with the Otter Lite. It works. And it does work with AMD, but it's clunky to say the least. I'm hitting a few problems where occasionally it will freeze, also with the Android app. So maybe if you have an AMD and an NVIDIA graphics processor, your experience will probably be quite different. It does produce good scans, but not consistently at the moment. I hope that they do some form of software update soon. That would be nice. But maybe one day I'll save up and buy an NVIDIA processor. But when you're talking at least $1,000 for that, possibly more realistically $1,400, I don't think I'm going to be doing that anytime soon. So anyway, thank you for watching. Just following this, there'll be an unboxing video of when I first opened up the Otter Lite. So if you feel like watching that, then please do. Thank you for your time. So just a boring unboxing video. This is actually the very first time that I opened this. I have opened it prior at all. Comes with a turntable. And quite a nice case for reasonable quality feel about it. Nice fitted case. Okay, that's the calibration card. Made of a sort of ceramic type stuff. It's the books. And a lanyard I think's in there. Nice quality plastic bags. I always like these. And there's the instruction manual, such as it is, and some reflective marker dots. More reflective marker dots. A lanyard. And some USB adapters. I still haven't really worked out what they're actually for, but I suppose there'd be a scenario you might need them. A lens cleaning cloth. That's the model that they recommend you use for your first scan. Being me, I didn't do that. That's a strap. That's the handle, or I believe they call it a bridge. That's your Wi-Fi and your battery, all in that handle. That's the clip so you can mount the phone on the back of the handle. That's the bolt for the lanyard, or a USB cable. USB-A to USB-C, that is. This cable's the main cable. That's the one that you do scans with to your computer. That's USB-A to USB-C, but it has little bolts so the handle, the USB-C is nice and firmly seated in the scanner head. This is the scanner itself. Quite a solid feel to it, actually. Ooh, peeling the protective off. It's always a nice feeling. So that's everything. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you get a scanner, then you couldn't really go wrong with the Creality Otter Lite. It's fine, but better if you have an NVIDIA graphics card.